Hello and welcome. You are now looking at the home purchase page for Microsoft Office 365. And you'll notice that at the time of the recording of this video, you can purchase Office 365 for $9.99 a month or $99 per calendar year. And one of the applications in Microsoft Office 365 is going to be Microsoft PowerPoint. And currently, you are looking at the most recent version of Microsoft PowerPoint, and it's called PowerPoint 2016. Now you can go to your sign-in area, and if you have already purchased Microsoft Office, in order for it to work with all of your saved customizations, you'll need to make sure that you're signed in to the Microsoft account that you used when you purchased Microsoft PowerPoint. And the first menu we'll look at in Microsoft PowerPoint is going to be the File menu, and it's all the way to the left. And when you click open that interface, what you'll notice is that there are places for you to save your documents, as well as for you to open Microsoft PowerPoint documents from specific locations on your personal computer or in the cloud that's associated with Microsoft PowerPoint. In this menu, you also have an Info tab. With the Info tab, you'll get specific information about the document that you're working with, and you can expand the view of those properties by clicking Show All Properties. One of the features in the Info tab is that you'll be able to protect the presentation by controlling the kind of changes that others can make to the presentation. Now, also in your left side menu, you'll see that you can open a new document, you can open existing documents, and you can save the documents that you're working on. One of the features of PowerPoint 2016 is that any document that you're working with can be saved as a PDF document. Now, one of the other things that you'll see here in the tab is you'll see the account area. And this is where you can get information about updating your product and about your particular license. You can also sign into Office through your PowerPoint document so that you'll be able to get any personalizations that you have made to the settings. We have just gone through the basics of the File menu. In this course, we will walk through all of the basics of the menus as we go across the screen to the right. By the time that we have completed that journey, you will be able to create basic to intermediate level PowerPoint presentations. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the first video. Hello and welcome. You are now looking inside of Microsoft PowerPoint. And one of the controls that you'll have at your disposal is to be able to use your right mouse button just about any place where there is a link or a menu. So for example, if we were to go to the menu bar and we were to use our right mouse button, you'll see the restore, minimize, and close. However, if we were to go to the menu ribbon and we were to right click any of the menu items, you're going to notice that you're going to get another menu. So for example, you'll get access to the quick toolbar, you'll be able to customize this ribbon, or to be able to collapse the ribbon. When you're working inside of PowerPoint, if you go any place inside of your working document and you highlight anything or put your cursor into the document and you right click that document, what you're going to see is you're going to see a list of options, typically those that'll mirror some of the options that you have in the menu bar. But right clicking will give you access to the basic and most used applications inside of PowerPoint whenever you use it. Going to the bottom bar will also give you the opportunity to right click and then give you access to several different options where you can customize either the view or the PowerPoint document that you are working in. At any time that you insert or you're using something different than a particular text box, you'll also get a different set of references. So if we right click, you'll notice here a smart art icon. You'll notice then that you get a different set of choices that you can make about this particular issue. You'll also be able to make different choices here in the menu brought up by your right click. When you are doing an actual presentation, you can right click on that presentation and you'll get a different set of options that you can use when you are presenting. And the right click menu will change based on where you are in the menu. So for example, we are looking at the view menu. If we right click there, you'll notice that this menu looks different than some of the other ones that we have seen. So if you're wondering what choices that you have when you are inside of a PowerPoint document and you can't remember exactly what you can do from the menu, one of the things that you can do is you can always right-click inside of any view where you are, and you'll get a list of options that will tell you some things that you can do. And in many cases, this can either jog your memory or stir your creativity about things that you'll want to do on a particular document. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to look at the home menu. And one of the things that you'll notice right away about Microsoft PowerPoint is that it probably looks similar to some of the other Microsoft applications that you might use frequently. For example, if you were to look at Microsoft Word, you'll see many of the same menu items, and you'll also see a ribbon that looks very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. And that means then that many of the same features that you're already using in other applications, you'll be able to use them in Microsoft PowerPoint. For example, you'll be able to cut and paste from your clipboard. For example, taking text from any place where you would go and copy that text means then that you can use the paste command to paste the text in. And of course, you'd have the option of using the right-click feature and then using the very same function. When it comes to cutting and pasting, Microsoft Office in general and PowerPoint in particular will allow you to see a preview of what you're about to cut and paste before you place it inside of your document. So just by hovering over one of the options, you'll be able to see exactly how it's going to look inside of your document and then choose the one that you will want to use. And what you can also do is copy and paste between documents. So for example, if we wanted to take what's in this entire text box and we were to click on the text box outline and we were to right click and then copy this entire text box, we could take the contents and then move them to an entirely different document. So for example, if we were to go to this area and then open a new document, we can come to an entirely blank page inside of that new document, right click to paste, and then paste that content into the new document, and you'll see the existing text box. So many of the functions on the home menu function in the very same way as they would any document. So for example, if you wanted to find a particular word inside of your document, if you click the find command, you'd then be able to write in what you're looking for and then find the content just as you would a written document in Microsoft Word. Now there's 6 sets of features inside of the home menu. There's the clipboard, which we have talked about, the slide menu, the font menu, the paragraph menu, the drawing menu, and the editing menu. Now the drawing menu is very similar to the insert menu because what you're doing is you're placing content inside of your PowerPoint document. Now in the next video, we're going to take a look at the slide submenu to the home menu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to look at the home menu, and in particular, we're going to look at the slide submenu. Now, one of the things that Microsoft PowerPoint allows you to do is to insert a new slide someplace inside of your PowerPoint presentation. Now, when you insert a slide, what you'll want to do is you'll want to place your cursor exactly where you want the slide to go. So if you want the slide to go between the first and second slide or the second and third slide, you'll need to place your cursor where you want the insert to happen. Then you'll need to click this new slide button, and that will place the new slide where your cursor was. So we'll click this link. And in particular, one of the things that we can do is we can determine how the new slide is going to be laid out. So when we click this new slide, you'll notice that there's a drop-down menu. We can click the edge of that menu where the little triangle is. You'll notice that you have 8 different layouts. So for example, if we want to place a title slide in that area, we have a title slide where we can write in a title and a subtitle. You'll notice that we can drop in a title and content slide, which is the typical slide that you'll be working with. you'll notice that you can drop in a section header where you have a title and a subtitle. You can drop in a to content box so that you can have two different boxes of content. Now, one of the more interesting things that you can do is you can create content by going to the new slide button, and you'll notice here that you can go and click this link that says slides from outline. What this will do is this will open up a dialog box where you can look at a Microsoft Word document that you have already created an outline with to bring that content into your Microsoft PowerPoint document. And you can create this outline by going to any Microsoft Word document, going to the View command, clicking on the outline, and then making sure that your outline appears according to the format in the document, meaning that you'll want to make sure that the points that you want to appear in a slide, you'll want them to be lined up with one of the bullet points. For example, if we hit the backspace here and we were to bring some of the documents and lines into an outline form, Microsoft PowerPoint will pull these items into a PowerPoint slide. And you'll see that by going to the new slide command, going to slides from outline, grabbing this document, clicking insert, and then you'll see the content come into your PowerPoint slide. Now, there is a more detailed process that we will cover in a separate video to help you to be able to properly bring this content into your PowerPoint slide. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we are going to cover the font and paragraph submenus. And one of the things you'll notice is that you can write in your content and you can alter it just as you would any other word processing document, or perhaps if you have used Microsoft Word. So for example, if you have content written in, you can bold, you can italicize, you can underline, you can color your text, and this is pretty standard for any desktop application. You can raise the size of the font, you can lower the size of the font, you can change the nature of the font. If you begin to work inside of a text box, as you can see here, we can even change the justification of a font. So for example, we can center, we can right justify, we can equally justify. We can change the nature of a page from one column to two columns. In this case, you'll see two columns, but we can just as easily turn this into one column, or we can change it to three columns. We can change the direction of the text. And we can choose whether or not we're going to use bullet points or not. And you can see in this case, we've chosen none. We can go back and we can change it again to a certain kind of bullet. We can even change those bullets into numbers. We can change the spacing between the lines. And we can also change the spacing between the characters. So for example, we can keep our spacing very tight between characters, or we can make it loose between characters. So PowerPoint gives you ultimate control over how you want your content to appear inside of your particular slide. Now, whenever you are placing content inside of your PowerPoint slide, everything appears inside of an area. So for example, we can take this entire area by clicking on the outline. We can hit the delete button, and we have effectively taken away the entire dialog box. Of course, we can use the undo command to put everything back, and the undo command will be right there. And this is important because placing content inside of your PowerPoint slides is going to be a function of finding the right box. For example, if we're going to change the content in this area, we're going to click inside of this text box. We're going to click inside of this text box, though, to change our title. So you now have the basic tools of being able to write content into any slide and make it appear however you'd like it to according to the needs of your presentation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now you'll notice that we have the drawing menu, and that is what we will cover in this video, in addition to one additional area that you will see once you are signed into your PowerPoint application. Now, if we were to insert a particular slide and we were to insert a content slide, one of the things that we can do is to insert shapes. So for example, we can insert any of these shapes that will allow us to either manipulate the shape or to write inside of the shape. So for example, you'll notice that we have a text box here. You'll notice that we have a rectangle, circle, and other shapes. Now, what is interesting about the shapes is that if we were to place a shape inside of this area, what we would do is you'll see that there is a cross there, and we would take our cursor and we would draw the shape. That would then give us a shape to draw in. Then what we would do is we would then take our cursor and we can click inside of any of the font area. Now in this case, we've chosen to click bold, we've unbolded it, and what we can do is we can now write text inside of this area. So for example, if we were to write in, we can write text inside of the shape. And if we can highlight this text, we can change the nature of that text by using our menu. So for example, we can change the color of that text. We can change the font of that text. We can change the text to bold, and we can change the text to italics. So basically, we can write inside of our shape, and we can create our text to fit what we are trying to do. And of course, if we don't want the shape there, we can click the outline of the entire shape. We can click delete, and the entire shape would delete. So we are basically inserting a shape inside of our PowerPoint presentation, and we can control the nature of that shape as well as the size of that shape. And you'll notice that the shapes fall into different categories. So for example, if you want shapes associated with a flowchart, shapes associated with stars and banners, shapes associated with callouts. So for example, if we wanted to have a speech bubble, we would click the speech bubble shape, and then we would draw our speech bubble. And we can draw it to the size that we want it to. We can then click any of the text buttons. You'll see your cursor there. You can then, if you didn't want it to be bold, you can take the bold out, and you can then begin to write. And you'll see that shape. And once again, if we don't like the shape, we can change the nature of the shape, or we can change the nature of what's inside of the shape, or we can get rid of the shape altogether by clicking on the shape and clicking delete. PowerPoint offers quick styles of shapes. So you'll see here that some are colored in the areas that we want them to be. And if we hover over them, we'll be able to see exactly what they're going to look like. We can decide that we want the shape to be filled in a certain way. So we can change the color of that fill. We can change the outline of that shape. So if we want to add in a border, we can do that and change the color of the border. We can change the nature of it. We can also change the effect of the shape. So for example, if we want there to be a shadow, we can do that by going inside of this area. So we can either do this with the text box, or we can drop a shape inside of the area, and we can change the nature of that shape. And of course, if you don't like what you've done and you want to start over, you can click the outline of the shape, click delete, and it will disappear altogether. Now, one other menu item that you will see is that you will see a dictate command in PowerPoint 2016. And if you click on this microphone, when you first use Dictate for the first time, what you're doing when you click on Intelligent Services is that you're giving Microsoft the permission to look at your other content so that it can make better guesses as to what you're trying to say when you are dictating to your document. And when you are ready to begin dictation, you can click Turn On. Now, in order to use Dictation, you are going to need to be signed in to your Microsoft account. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click the Dictation mic, and we'll choose the language that we're going to be working in. In this case, we're going to choose English from the United States, and then we'll click Dictate. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Now, to get more assistance on how to use Dictate, all you'll need to do is to go to this drop-down arrow. You'll need to click then Tell Me More, and then the dialog box will open up directly into the Dictate submenu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, it's quite possible that you may have created presentation documents inside of Google Docs. If that's the case, you can import those documents into your PowerPoint presentation. So in order to do that, we're going to go to the Google Docs section called Slides. And then we're going to go into one of our resident presentations inside of Google Slides. And then we're going to go to the File menu. And then we're going to go to the Download As command, and you'll see inside of Google Docs that you can download the presentation as a Microsoft PowerPoint file, PPTX. And so all you'll need to do then is click that link. Once the document is saved to your hard drive, you'll then be able to open up the document as a PowerPoint file. And you'll see the document here. If you want to edit, you'll need to click Enable Editing. You can also work with your Keynote file. You'll see here that we are inside of Keynote in iCloud. We are going to download a copy of this presentation. And you'll see then we can choose the format. In this case, we're going to choose PowerPoint. Once we have the file on our hard drive, all we'll need to do is to open it inside of PowerPoint. And then we have our file that we have been working on in Keynote imported into Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we're going to start working with the next menu over, and that's the Insert menu. When you see the Insert menu, there are going to be several submenus. You'll see the Slides menu, which was also in the Home menu. You'll see the ability to insert a table, that's the Table submenu. You'll see the ability to insert several different kinds of images, and that's the Images submenu. You'll be able to insert several different kinds of illustrations, and that's the Illustration submenu. You'll also be able to create zoom, and this is a way to make your presentation more dynamic, as well as to insert links, hyperlinks, and action buttons. You'll be able to insert comments, and this will help you to work with others on your document. And then you'll be able to insert areas where you will input content. For example, you can place text boxes, you can place a header and a footer, word art, the date and time, and all of this will be based on content that you place in. When you're looking for symbols to insert, you can use the Symbols submenu. And then you can also insert multimedia, and you can do that through the Media submenu. If you want to insert Flash applications and Flash videos, you can do that through this Flash section. Now, one thing that expands the scope of what your PowerPoint can do is to be able to use the Add-ins section. And to do that, you can go to the Add-in Store and click Browse Office Store. And then you'll have suggested to you applications that you can add to your PowerPoint presentation. Now, to cover everything would be beyond the scope of this course. However, we are going to cover individually in a video. We're going to cover the insertion of images. We're also going to cover the insertion of multimedia. Now, one thing that you'll note is that PowerPoint 2016 gives you the ability to insert 3D models. And so we can insert either a 3D model from a file that we already have, or we can insert one from an online source. And Microsoft gives us several royalty-free images that we can choose from. And for example, let's say that we choose the electronics section, and then we decide to insert a laptop, and we're going to click Insert. Now, this is solely using the 3D model menu, but it's another aspect of your PowerPoint presentation that you can use to your advantage. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, in this video, we're going to be discussing the Insert menu. We're going to focus on the Images submenu, and the Images submenu allows you to add photos and images to your PowerPoint slide. Now, the easiest way to add an image to your slide wouldn't even involve the menu at all. What you'd be able to do is you'd be able to drag and drop a photo onto your slide. Of course, you'll be able to control the sizing. What you'll see when you have the cursor on top of the image or you have the box selected is that you have a Picture Tools menu. And that'll give you options of being able to change the nature and the appearance of the image that you have placed inside of your presentation. When you place your cursor so that it's not highlighting the box or the image, your regular menu will then come back. So going back to the Insert menu, and we're going to click on top of this image, and then we're going to click on top of the bars and then delete it. We are then going to go to our Insert menu. We're then going to click on Pictures, and this is going to do the exact same thing. We're going to be able to grab an image from our hard drive, and then we're going to be able to insert that image to the area, and then we'll be able to control the sizing, of course. And you'll see again that the Picture Tools menu is then available, giving us options to change the appearance of the image. So going back to the Insert menu, you'll then see that you have a section called Online Pictures, and this will give you access to images on the Bing search engine. Now, you are going to want to be aware of the rights to each and every one of these photos before you use it, and especially if you're going to be using it for commercial purposes. If you don't want to use any of the Bing photos, of course, you have the option of just pulling the images from your personal storage space on Microsoft OneDrive. And PowerPoint also gives you the option of being able to add in a screenshot. So for example, if we were to click this screenshot button, you'll notice that there are some screenshots that are already available. However, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a screenshot. So we're going to click Screen Clipping. We're then going to take our plus button. We're going to outline the area where we want the photo to be taken. And you'll notice then that that photo is then onto our PowerPoint presentation. We can size it down. And again, you'll notice that we have the Picture Tools menu available. So we basically have the ability to add in a screenshot. Now, the last thing we're going to look at here is that we have the ability to add in an entire photo album. And to do that, we're going to click on this button. You're going to notice then that you have a button that you can click called File/Disk, and that's going to open up into a directory. You're going to want to find the directory where the photos are where you want to add in multiple photos. And to do that, we're going to select all of the photos, or just the ones that you want. We're going to click the Insert button. That's going to bring us to another dialog box. What we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of the images. We can then decide on how we want the images to be laid out. In this case, we're going to place one picture for every slide with a title. Now, you do have the opportunity to choose the kind of theme that this is going to go into. In this case, we're going to stick with the plain white office theme. We're going to click Select, and then we're going to click Create. And then we have our photo images. And of course, what you can do then is you can click on all 4 of these images. We can then right-click and then click Copy. We can then head to our presentation, and we're going to place our cursor where we want those photos to appear. We're going to actually then click Control V. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we are going to work with the Insert menu, and we're going to work with the Media submenu. Now we can add video, audio, or screen recording, and we're going to do all 3 in this video. So to do that, we're going to add in a slide, and we're going to place our cursor where we want the slide to be. We're just going to pick a blank slide. We're going to add it here, and we're going to start by working with the video menu. And you can add in an online video. And so if you click this link, you're going to have 2 choices. You can then place a YouTube video here, and when you place the YouTube video inside of your PowerPoint presentation, you aren't actually placing the actual video. You're going to be placing a link in that video, and when you do your presentation or the person clicks on the link, they're going to be taken to that YouTube video, or they're going to be able to watch it inside of your PowerPoint presentation. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to search for the subject that you want there to be. And we might write in PowerPoint. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take the very first one, and we're going to click Insert. And that's going to give you the ability to put a link to this video inside of your PowerPoint presentation. Now, of course, we can make this as large as we want. Place this where on the screen that we actually want it. Of course, if we click on the link, we can delete the video from this page. Going back to our Insert menu, going back to the video setting, what we can do is we can then click on Online Video again, and what we can do then is we can paste an embed code. So for example, if you have an embed code from a video, you can then place that embed code inside of this box, and it will appear then on your PowerPoint presentation, and then the person who clicks on the actual link, they'll be able to watch the video inside of your presentation, but once again, they will not have the actual video. They'll be watching it to the internet, so they will need to have an internet connection in order to experience the video. Now what you can also do is you can place an actual video inside your PowerPoint presentation. Now when you do this and you grab a video from your PC, that video will then be part of your presentation. So this is going to make your PowerPoint presentation much larger in size because it will have the actual video depending on how large it is in the presentation. So we're going to grab a video from our PC. Once that video is in our screen, you're going to notice we have the controls here. We can size it down, and we can have it to appear however we want it to be. Now again, you're going to have available to you the picture menu, but you're going to have video tools. So you can control the nature of the playback. You can control the nature of the format by using the controls that you get when you have the video highlighted. And we can undertake the same process with audio. So for example, if we go to the audio menu, we can pick up audio from our PC. And what will happen is there will be a player on this particular slide. And when we're doing our presentation, we'll be able to click on this part of the slide and have the audio play. And you'll see that here when it's in slideshow presentation. We'll click there, and then you'll notice that the video will play. We can also record an audio. And we can click this link inside of our presentation. And then when we click this red button, we're then going to be able to record audio that will place a sound link inside of our PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to click this button and say that now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. We click OK. You'll notice then that we have then again the button. Then to get rid of it, all we would need to do is click delete. Now finally, one other thing that you can do inside of your PowerPoint presentation is to record your screen. And you can do that by clicking the screen recording button. And what you're going to do then is you're going to select the area that you're going to record or demonstrate. And when you're ready then, you would then click the record button. And once the video is completed its recording, you'll then have the video available to be sized inside of your presentation. Now again, this is going to be a video that will be inside of your presentation and will make your video larger in size. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we're going to discuss the next menu over. We have discussed the File menu, the Home menu, the Insert menu, and now we will discuss the Design menu. And you'll notice that you have a number of different PowerPoint themes. And if you expand that area, you're going to see even more. And these are ways that you can change the basic core look of your presentation. So for example, if we were to select a specific theme, you'll notice then that the entire presentation changes on different slides. Now, in addition to each theme, you also have variants within that theme. So, for example, we can decide that we can change this core theme to a different variant. And we can expand those variants in ways that we can change the colors, we can change the fonts on that theme, we can change the effects on that theme, and we can change the background styles on that theme, and we can even format the background on a particular theme. So, for example, we can change this theme variant to blue or to something closer to lilac or purple. And you can do this within each theme that you change. So again, if we change the theme, we can then look at the variant to that theme and a particular color scheme on that theme. You can make all of those changes without changing your core look. If you want to go back to the look that you originally had, all you need to do is to go back and click on the particular theme that you had. You can also change the slide size, and typically if you are recording videos or you're working in a standard video format, you would be using the widescreen format. If you need to customize the size, you can do that by clicking Customize Slide Size. But typically you'll be working with a widescreen background, and this is going to be the default setting. And if it isn't, if for some reason you have a 4:3 slide size, you'll want to change it to the widescreen side. And then when you are recording PowerPoint presentations and videos, you will fit the screens of most people that'll be watching. Now you can also format the background of your slide. You can do that from this area of your panel. And one of the things that you can do in particular is you can do a picture or texture fill. So for example, if you were to click the picture or texture fill, what you can do is you can grab any file or picture and you can place it in the background of that file. And once that picture becomes your background, what you can do is you can increase the transparency. It's an easy way to rebrand your entire presentation for an image that you already have. And this can be across all of your images. You can click Apply to All, and then it'll appear on all of your slides. You can return the slide back to its original state by going to the solid fill, and then clicking Apply to All, and then you'll see that your slide will appear the way it did before we began. And those are the basics of the design menu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We have now looked at the File menu, the Home menu, the Insert menu, the Design menu, and now we want to look at the Transitions menu. And the Transitions menu helps you to control the experience that the viewer has between your slides. And to illustrate this, you'll need to take a look at an actual slide presentation. So what we'll do is we'll go to the slideshow menu, and then we will start a presentation from the beginning. We will then switch over so that you can see the presentation on this video. And every time that we advance our slide, you're going to notice that there is a plain transition. So there is nothing really happening in particular between the slides. But what we can do between the slides in the Transitions menu is we can give a different effect. And you have a number of different effects that PowerPoint will allow you to do. So for example, what we can do is we can place a push transition so that every slide appears so that it pushes up the slide after it. Or we can use something like random bars, where the slide will come in and appear in that manner. If we want to change the effect of that slide, we can do that by changing options. We can choose to have a horizontal bars, and every transition is going to have a different option effect. So for example, if we choose the wipe effect and we go to the effect options, then the wipe effect is going to have different options. If we choose the morph effect and we choose options, we're going to have different options for the morph effect. So what we can typically do is we can choose a transition. We can then click apply to all so that it will be uniform across all of our slides. And then when we do our slide presentation, and we're going to do one right now, and we switch over to our slides, you're going to see a different effect. We'll now click Escape, and we're back to our slide presentation, and we slide back to the beginning, and we go back to our Transitions menu. Now what we can do is we can then go back to None, and then we can apply None to All, and then there will be no more transition between slides. And we can also add in a sound when the slide advances, and we can do that by adding in any of the sounds that we see here. We can choose the length of that sound by clicking in this box. Now the length of the sound will be dictated by the mouse click, and so because of that, we're going to have this to be on auto. We can also change it so that the sound happens at a specific duration. We can do that by clicking on the up arrow so that you no longer see auto, and then you'll be able to change the duration here in this box. Now you can decide to advance the slide automatically, and the transition you can have to happen after a certain period of time, which you will dictate by clicking this box and setting the timer in this area. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we are going to begin working in the Animations menu. We've already discussed the File menu, the Home menu, the Insert menu, the Design menu, and the Transitions menu, and the Animations menu is very similar in nature to the Transitions menu, except for all of the action will happen on the actual slide. And any of the elements that you have on the slide, you can control how and when they appear to the person when your presentation is actually happening. So for example, you see a number of different lines of text. We can control when these elements are seen, and we can control how they appear one at a time during an actual presentation. So for example, if we were to choose one particular animation, the float in animation, you'll notice that all of these will be numbered. We can then preview that animation as to how it's going to appear during an actual presentation. You can do that by clicking this preview button. We can determine that these animations will happen at a particular duration, a period of time, or we can determine that they will happen on a click. So for example, if we want it to happen during our presentation, when we click our mouse, we can click on click. That means then that every time we click the mouse, one of these new elements will appear. And if you look closely, you'll notice that there are numbers, and this is the order in which these elements will appear. You'll see the number 1, number 2, the number 3, and number 4. All of these elements will appear in that order. Now, in order to see how this is going to appear during an actual slideshow, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our slideshow menu. We're going to click from the beginning. And what we're going to do is display the animation. And you'll notice that each one comes in on the mouse click. Now, if you click on one of the animation buttons, you can reorder when this element is going to appear by going to this Reorder Animation tab, and you can move this animation to earlier or later in the presentation. So even though they appear in this order as you write them in, you don't have to leave them in that order. You can actually have it appear when you want. You'll just have to use this panel that says Reorder Animation. Now in the next video, we're going to discuss the automation of your animations. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to complete our discussion of the animations menu. And if we place our cursor where we have our animations, you'll notice that the animation menu is then going to be visible. And one of the things that you can do is you can determine that your animations will start not necessarily on a click, but either with the previous animation or right after the previous animation. And basically what you're doing is you are setting the animations in motion when you do this. And when we set animations in motion, we need to determine how long the animation is going to take, as well as what will happen between animations. So we can set that in motion also. So now let's take a look at what this animation set will look like during an actual PowerPoint presentation. So in order to do that, we're going to go to our slideshow. We're then going to go to this panel from the beginning, and then we're going to swap out our presenter view. So now we have what the PowerPoint is actually going to look like. And what you're going to notice is that when we set the presentation in motion, that all of the animations appear all at once. And basically what we've done is we've set up the animations to occur with the previous animation. And so you'll notice now that all of the numbers have turned to 0. Now what we can also do again is we can set them so that they come after the previous one. And so now let's take a look to see what will actually happen. So again, in order to do that, we're going to go to our slideshow. We're then going to go to the beginning. And then we're going to swap out the view so that we can see it happen. And as you can see, the animations are happening automatically one after the other, given the delay. But in order to retain the full control over your animations, you'll want to make sure that you do them with the click. Now what you'll notice is that what we need to do is we need to go back to our animations. We need to touch on the cursor, and then we need to set these animations to occur after the specific click. And we can do that most effectively by just making sure that we turn the animations off. Then we can place our cursor again, and then we can set our animations again to go according to the order that we want them to. Now again, you'll notice then that all of these subpoints are going to occur with the number 9 animation. If we want these to occur in succession, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure to change this to on a specific click. And what that will do is that will renumber all of the other animations so that they happen in succession. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We have now reviewed the File menu, the Home menu, the Insert menu, the Design menu, the Transitions menu, the Animations menu, and now we will move on to the Slideshow menu. And this is actually where you are going to begin presenting your content. Now you'll notice that there is a panel that is called the Start Slideshow panel, the Setup panel, and then the Monitors panel. Now we're going to go out of order right now, and we're going to first go to the Setup panel, and we're going to look at the Setup Slideshow dialog. And when you open up this dialog, what you're doing is you're setting your default for all of the presentations that you'll be putting together. Now the default here is going to be presented by a speaker, and that's the one that you're going to be working with most. This is going to allow you to click through your presentation from slide to slide, and it'll be presented primarily by one person. You can also do browse by an individual, and what this will do is this will allow you to present in a sizable window, and you'll actually be able to click through your presentation. You can also set up by default that you will have presentations that will be browsed at a kiosk. And what this means is that your presentations will run automatically. It's almost as if you are going to be having your presentations at some kind of trade show, and your presentations would run automatically. That is what this setting is for, and again, this would be your default setting for all of your presentations when you do this. Now, keeping in mind that these are default settings, you also have options. You can have presentations that loop continuously until you hit escape. You can have some that show without narration and some that show without animation. And again, you will be thinking about how you're going to be working with PowerPoint most of the time. You can have it so that your slides will advance automatically if the timings are present, or they can always be manual. Now, you can also have a setting that will determine how your presentation will be viewed if you have multiple monitors. Now, we are going to be talking about the presenter view, and you'll notice here that we have the presenter view checked by default. We're going to take a look at the presenter view in a separate video, but you can set it up so that you can either not use the presenter view by default or to use it if you're going to be using multiple monitors when you're presenting your PowerPoint presentation. Now, one thing you can do is you can click the Rehearse Timings panel. And what this will do is this will allow you to run your PowerPoint presentation so that you'll get a sense for how many seconds each slide actually takes. You'll be able to rehearse the timings, and this is mainly if you want to run your PowerPoint presentation automatically without clicking through it in order to advance the slides or advance the animation. Another setting that you'll want to be aware of in the Start Slideshow panel is going to be Custom Slideshow. If we click that link and we click Custom Shows and we click New, what you're going to find is that we can rename a custom show, and we can set up our presentation so that it does not happen in the sequence that we have our slides in. So for example, if we want to make it so that our first slide goes first, and then add it, then our fourth slide goes second, and then we add it, then our 8th slide goes third, and we add it, and our 17th slide goes next, and we add it, and that's all that's going to appear in this custom slideshow, and we click OK. Once we do that and we click the Show button and we set up so that we can switch our view, you're going to notice that our slides appear in different orders than we set it up from the very beginning. Now, in most cases, if you are doing a recording of your PowerPoint or you're going to be presenting live in person to other people, you're going to be using the From the Beginning or From Current Slide panel. And this basically allows you to present full screen by clicking through your slides. And so when we click the From the Beginning button, this opens in the presenter view. We're going to switch this view. And basically, we have our slide then. And we're then going to be able to click through each point. And typically, this is where you will be discussing the different aspects of each point. You can also choose to start your presentation from a certain slide. So, for example, let's say that you wanted to start the presentation, you want to do it in sequence, but you want to start with slide 4. Well, what you do then is you click From Current Slide. You then have your presenter view and switch the view, and the presentation would start from the current slide in full screen mode. Now, if you're using multiple monitors when you are recording a video or you are recording your PowerPoint presentation, you will want to be familiar with the presenter view, and we will discuss that in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. Now, assuming that you are working with multiple monitors, you can then determine which monitor will actually hold your PowerPoint presentation when it's in slideshow full screen mode. So for example, what we can do is we can use this drop down arrow and we can determine which of these monitors is going to hold our PowerPoint presentation when we turn it on. So for example, if we turned our PowerPoint presentation on to a specific monitor and then we then click on our presentation, you'll notice then that we are using this screen as the primary monitor for our presentation. If we switch the monitor back, what will happen is we will click the current slide, and what you'll notice is that we have the presenter view. And this is the set of presenter controls that you'll have available to you when you are using multiple monitors and you are operating your PowerPoint presentation. Now you get this presenter view by default when you have this button ticked. So what is it that you will actually see when you turn on your presenter view? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our presentation. And you'll know that there is another screen and that presentation is going to be on the other screen that we have available to us. Now in the presenter view, we can adjust the size of each area. And you'll notice that we have a current view. We have what's coming up next in terms of slides. If there are any notes, we have them in this area. So if we wanted to read through our notes while we present it, we could do that here in this area. We can know exactly where we are in the presentation by looking at this panel that tells us what slide we are and how many slides we have in our entire presentation. We also have a setting that allows us to see all of the slides at once. If we click this button, what you'll see is that we have all of the slides available to us. If we want to go back to our normal presenter view, we'll just click the arrow and we are back there. And we have zooming controls. We also have a control that allows us to set up a black or white screen. And then we have writing tools where we can write on our PowerPoint presentation. Now you've noticed throughout this course, what we have done is we have looked at this menu, we have pulled the drop-down menu, and we've clicked this link that says Swap Presenter View and Slideshow View. This allows us to toggle back and forth on our present screen with our PowerPoint presentation. And so what we can do is we can click this link. You'll notice then that we have our presentation. We can then click the link again, and that switches us back to the presenter view. And then to go back to our normal view, we'll just need to click Escape, and brings us back to our slideshow menu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We have now been over the File menu, the Home menu, the Insert menu, the Design menu, Transitions menu, the Animations menu, the Slideshow menu, and now we are about to walk through the Review menu. And you'll notice that there are 7 submenus: Proofing, Accessibility, Insights, Language, Comments, Compare, and Ink. Now in the Proofing menu, you have a spell check application as well as a thesaurus application. So to spell check your document, all you'll need to do is to click that panel, and then PowerPoint will walk through your document and show you different words that you may or may not have misspelled. You can also use the thesaurus setting, and by clicking this link, what will happen is that PowerPoint will look for those words that you highlight to try to find some kind of synonym that you might be able to substitute. For example, if we highlight the word install and we click the thesaurus application, you'll see that there are some alternatives that Microsoft PowerPoint will give us. And what PowerPoint will do is when you click the Accessibility tab, it will analyze your document for issues of accessibility. So for example, if you have certain aspects of your presentation that may not be friendly to the blind or to those who are hearing impaired, PowerPoint will give you suggestions on things that you can do to improve your PowerPoint presentation. For example, you'll see here that there is a warning that you could be using captions for your audio and video. PowerPoint also has something called Smart Lookup. So if you will highlight a specific word and you click the Smart Lookup tab, PowerPoint will give you some alternatives to redefine what you're looking for or to explore it more. You can also translate different parts of your presentation into a different language, and you can do that using this panel. And then you have what's called the Comments panel. And the Comments panel is basically for you to either write notes about things that you want to go back and edit, or for you to work collaboratively with other people on one particular document. And so, for example, we can click the New Comment button, and then we can write a comment into the comment area. The comment will have the commenter's name so that when you are working collaboratively, you'll know who made what comment about a particular aspect of one particular slide or several aspects. And what you'll notice is that once you make a comment, you'll then have the comment menu entirely available to you. Now you also have the inking menu, and what you can do with the inking menu is you can click on Start Inking, and basically this gives you the ability to write on your PowerPoint presentation. So for example, you'll see we're able to draw and longhand. If you need to erase what you have done, you'll just click the eraser, and then you'll no longer be able to see the writing on your PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, when you purchase Microsoft PowerPoint through Microsoft Office, you will have access to OneDrive, which is your storage facility in the cloud with a limited amount of storage. This will allow you to share and collaborate on specific PowerPoint presentations with others. And so to do that, you'll go all the way to the right-hand corner here, and what you're going to do is you're going to click the Share button. What will happen is that Microsoft will give you the opportunity to share your document and to save it to your OneDrive. You'll be asked to name your document. You'll then click OK. Now, once the document has been uploaded to your OneDrive, you can then begin to invite people to the document. You can then determine which rights that the person will have. You can either have it so that they can only view or that they can edit also. And then what you'll do is you'll then click the Share link. That person will then get an email stating that they can then view this document in their own OneDrive. This will allow them to be able to collaborate with you and work on the same document. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to take a look at the View menu, and we have already looked at the File menu, the Home menu, the Insert menu, the Design menu, the Transitions menu, the Animations menu, the Slideshow menu, and the Review menu. And if you notice that we have highlighted the normal view, and that is the default view for your PowerPoint presentation when you are working in it. Now there are several other views that we can look at, and they will give us different ways to work with our presentation. So for example, if we were to click on the outline view, what you're going to see is that you're going to see all of your written content on individual slides. So for example, you'll see here that for slide 13, you'll see where you have your written content on the slide, but it's in the outline view. And we can edit that content in the outline view. So for example, if I put my cursor here at the Y for memory, I can edit that content even in the slide title. So this is a good way of being able to look at your content at a glance. You can also have the slide sorter view, and this will give you a look at your entire presentation in one page at one glance, again, so that you can make adjustments as you see fit. If you look at your presentation visually and you think a slide should go in a different place, you can make that adjustment by sliding that slide to the place where you want it to be, or putting it back where you want it to be. If you go to the Notes view, this is where you can easily write in notes. If you're going to be narrating your PowerPoint or you want to look at your points as you present, you can write in those points to the slide. Now these notes will not appear on the slide during your presentation. This is for you to prompt yourself in order to know what your slide is going to be about. Now if you want to understand what your animations or your transitions are going to look or appear like, you can go into the reading view and you can scroll through your presentation in that way. You can click the escape button. That'll bring you back to your view page. Now the slide master view is a very good tool for us to be able to make universal changes throughout our PowerPoint presentation. So for example, if we go all the way to the top and we make changes to this page, those changes will appear over our entire PowerPoint presentation. And you'll see that because this master slide or master title slide will be the first of all of your slides. In fact, you'll have to scroll up in order to access it. So for example, if we were to place an image on this slide, that image will appear on all of our slides across all types. If we were to format the background of this slide, that format will appear on all of our slides. So for example, if we did a picture fill and we were to pick up a file and insert it and then make it transparent as we did before, this slide is now going to appear universally on all of our slides. Now the master slide at the very top is one that governs all of the slides. Now let's say that you only wanted to change different kinds of slides throughout your presentation. So for example, we would then make this a solid fill again, and then you'll notice then all of these slides go back to normal. Now what you have here is you have your title slide. So every time you use a title slide, any changes that you make in the master view will affect every time you use the master slide. If you make changes only to your content slide, this will appear on all of your content slides whenever you use them. However, it will not appear on the title slide or even on any of the other kinds of slides as you use them. And you'll recognize these types by going back to the normal view. If I go back to the home menu, if you remember, we have different ways of being able to use our PowerPoint presentations, and you'll see the types here. So every time we use a title slide, every time we use a title and content slide, we can control the look of those slides through the master view. Now if we're going to print out our slides, we're either going to print them out as a handout or with the notes involved, and we can control the look as to how those handouts are going to look by using the master view of those formats. Now we can give ourselves guidelines when we are working inside of our PowerPoint presentation to be able to line things up uniformly by using the ruler, by using grid lines, and by using the guides. And you'll see them all as you work on your PowerPoint presentation. The default setting is to have these turned off, but you can turn them on if you find it helpful. Now there are obviously 4 additional panes. There is the zoom submenu pane, color grayscale submenu pane, the window pane, which will allow you to look at different windows at the same time, as well as the macros submenu frame. And these are beyond the scope of this course, and we have now covered the basics of the view menu. And in the next video, we're going to take a look at a practical use of the view menu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. In conclusion, we're going to work through a scenario with the view menu as well as with your Microsoft Word document. And earlier we talked about being able to create content from an outline that you created in Microsoft Word. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to content created in Microsoft Word and turn it into an outline. Now, assuming you already have content in Microsoft Word, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the View command, and then you're going to go to the Outline view in Microsoft Word. And what you're going to notice is that you have some bullet points here, and you want to make sure that these bullet points are all on the same line. So for example, you don't want to have those that are indented because the PowerPoint import will only take those outline points that are leftmost. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have everything that we want to appear on one slide with one bullet point here on the left-hand margin. So what we've done now is we've saved the document and we have one point lined with each one of the bullet points. So what we're going to do now is we're going to save this document. And once we've done that, we're going to close the outline view. We can then close up this document. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to our View command, and then we're going to go to the Slide Master. Now what's going to happen is that when we import the documents, they're all going to come in to this title bar. And so what we want to do is we want to pull the title bar into the area of the slide where it's actually going to appear. We can then go in and take out the other elements of the master slide. We will not need them. What we can also do with this master area is we can then make sure that the content is going to be centered. So we're going to do that. And so now we're ready then to import our content. What we're going to do now is we're going to click Close Master View. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the New Slide area. We're going to grab slides from an outline. And we're now going to insert the document that we just saved. We're going to click the word Insert. And what you'll notice now is that we have a sentence document based on the outline that we created. And we can now save this PowerPoint to then further customize it for our presentation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I'll see you either in another video or in another course.